Explain to me why your basement is the way it is.
My basement is at the level of chaos you see because I decided one day I'm going to start an online Pokemon card business. And I actually built this house because I had a nice unfinished basement, plenty of room for all of this nonsense.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I basically just sit down here all day. I pack up orders, I make videos, and I enjoy looking at the collection on the shelves. It's
Yeah.
very aesthetic.
What was the I guess what's really interesting and why even like we've kind of known each other for a while, because when did you start doing everything?
I started in 2021,
Okay. So
and
that's like whenever it was like TikTok days when it all kind of went
yeah,
crazy.
lots of
And
TikToks.
it was very interesting to see all the people, like when I was talking to Laura in the other episode that I did. It was interesting to see the people from 2021, 2020 still in the mix of these things. Like I never imagined being in your cave, your basement, shooting a video. And like
It's
it
cool seeing the same people throughout the years, and
yeah.
it's odd seeing how many people aren't around anymore.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see like how we've all evolved in different ways. Like even the One Piece TCG didn't exist back in the day. Like
Yeah,
when we started, people would always are always going to wonder like why did you do this? Like what like it obviously is scary to just jump into this. Like why did you do this? And what did you do before too?
I knew since I was a little kid that I'd be a horrible employee. I knew I didn't really want a real job. And I also knew I really liked Pokemon. So as a little kid, I always told my mom and dad, like, I'm gonna love Pokemon forever. And I remember the conversation because they bought brand new furniture from Nebraska Furniture Mart. We were big balling with the
Mm,
oak furniture at the time.
hmm.
And I covered the whole dresser in Pokemon stickers and completely ruined the oak. And I showed my mom and dad, and I was like 10. And I remember them yelling at me, going, "You're going to hate Pokemon one day. You're going to get sick of this, and you're going to be really mad that you ruined this." I was like, "No, mom, I'm going to love it forever." And now I'm 31, and I remind them of that story a lot. So I always knew I hated having a real job, never liked authority. I always knew I loved Pokemon. So when I realized that there was a way to kind of marry the two, and again, this was like late 2020, early 2021, I realized there was a way to marry the two, and I had to try it. Um,
Mm.
it's not as scary as you'd think it would be, as long as you have a spouse that has benefits and a real
Mm.
job. So that helped a lot.
Like what were you doing before this? So like did you not
I was in real estate.
okay, so yeah, so typical. I'm kind of I wasn't in real estate, but the same way where it's like I never could be a 9 to 5er.
No.
It's it was the worst thing for me. Like I remember having a job where I came right out of college and I was managing like creative people and doing like a whole creative direction thing.
That sounds kind of cool
It sounded cool.
though. Yeah.
It was not cool because it would be the thing where you wake up and if you had to get there at 8, if it was 8:05,
Mhm.
somebody'd be like calling me right away. And it was that time where I was like, but I was here till like 8 o'clock taking care of things for
Yeah.
you yesterday. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
They don't care if you stay late.
Nope,
But if you're even a second late from a lunch break,
absolutely.
up in arms.
And my wife and I worked together at that place, and we one time we got called into a I don't know, like a freaking productivity. It's not productivity, but like a something where we were part of a irresponsible group of people.
Mm, okay.
Because we left the kitchen a little dirty one time, and it was like, this is, you need to honor the place you're in, and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, okay, how much longer am I gonna, or how fast can I get out of this?
That started the villain arc.
I was like, okay, yeah, that's how. And then sometimes, you'd start speaking your mind about things, and then I would get kicked out of board meetings and stuff like that.
Oh, shoot.
It'd be like, yeah, you spoke your opinion, you didn't listen to the almighty leader. So
The irony of being in a creative environment, speaking your opinion.
I'd rather fail at this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that was 100% it. And I realized because I worked in very corporate-ish jobs like internships, tech recruiting, Pacific Life, life insurance, and my latest job in real estate was actually pretty chill. But I always thought everyone was acting like they enjoyed the job. There was always like after work activities and
Oh
like
yeah.
special things. You don't get paid for award ceremonies. I thought everyone was acting, but I realized I was the only one pretending I enjoyed that stuff, and I actually hated it all.
Really?
So I was like, okay, the real estate gig was actually good. I worked with a really small team. They let me do whatever I wanted. Like, ironically, the job I left for Pokemon was actually the best job I had.
Hmm.
But I still had a boss. I still had hours. And Pokemon pays more.
Yeah, I discovered that when we quit and I started freelancing. I did a lot of production and graphic design and web design for people, and I started freelancing and figuring out that world because I just had to get out and started realizing, oh, how to piece together this work and get me where I'm making more money than when I was like slaving away
Yeah,
at that. And I could wake up at noon if I felt like it. I could not work on Tuesday
that's
if
the
I did.
ticket.
That's yeah. But having the spouse that is supportive or
Hmm.
has benefits or at least is going to listen to your crazy idea is really, really beneficial. I assume that's how everything had been. We've had, I'm sure it's not perfect. It's not perfect for me either, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I got really lucky with mine
Yeah.
because like I've got a lot of bipolar
Mm,
tendencies. And I started a lot of businesses before this one, and Andrea, bless her heart, dealt with every single disaster that I brought upon this family.
mm,
So I got real lucky with the Pokemon one. But yeah, without a spouse, I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't quit your 9 to 5 as fast as I did, because
yeah.
you could really screw yourself up.
Yeah, I know. It was very similar though, where I told Megan, I was like, I made that first video on TikTok and I got like 1 million views saying something wrong. And I was like, wait a second, I mispronounced the Pokemon's name. And then we got people who were interested. Everybody told me I sucked, but you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Um, but then I was like, wait a second, how do I use my production background into and production and marketing to figure out how to make this work? And then now we kind of started, working through it. And I was like, can you just let me figure this out? And if it goes crazy, if it goes bad, we'll go back to normal. And she was like, yeah, whatever. Never
So
questioned
chill.
anything. And so that's what I'm saying is like having a really supportive spouse and good family unit like that and just being like, "Hey, you got this," even when you post a video and it doesn't get any views, is
Flops.
extremely valuable. So then you went from that idea to you have a full basement now and like everything in your videos you talk about like a seven-figure Pokemon card business.
For the clickbait.
What does that mean? Explain that to me.
Yeah, so the first thing people say when they hear 7 figures, like, "Oh, that's not profit." I'm like, "Well, yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
no, no, of course it's not profit. If it was, it'd be a nicer basement." But 7 figures, I mean, it just means revenue. So
Mhm.
every month or so, we'll do. For a while, we were doing like 350K in revenue a month, and it slowed down a little bit. We're like 250 now, but every day it's between $8,000 and $10,000 of packaging things.
Mm.
It's not very fun. It's not exciting. We just kind of stand here and put things in boxes. But yeah, I mean, that's what a 7 figure business is. It's just a fancy way of saying I put things in boxes too many times per day.
Yeah. So, but do you enjoy it?
I like all the creative elements of it.
Okay.
Yeah. If there wasn't like this
I-
is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for like this, the YouTube, the content, all just the creative ways to market to people, the collecticons, all that's the stuff I enjoy. The
Mhm.
stuff like putting stuff. I mean, I put stuff in boxes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
it is. It's not a dream job. You got to make it a fun job though, and that's the benefit of being an entrepreneur. You can make it however
Yeah,
you want.
you started doing it, and we started talking about seven figures or tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is very enticing to people. Anybody,
Mm,
regardless of whether you're like, I put things in boxes and I make, and we have a seven-figure business, sounds to the person who's like, I can barely sell one card. You know what I
yeah.
mean? What do you say to people like that? Because I'm sure you get a lot of pushback. Everybody gets good things and bad comments from people.
Yeah, I'm a very unprofessional person
Yeah.
as a business owner. I think everyone watching knows. I'll clap back at people
Mm,
pretty, and that's again the beauty of being an entrepreneur. I don't have an HR department, so I'll clap back, usually in a funny way. What I've learned though is you have to kind of flex and brag a little bit,
mm,
even if it's not really your personality, because otherwise people don't believe you. So showing the shelves, showing the charts from we use Wix, Shopify, similar, like showing evidence that you're selling the amount that you're talking about selling, uh, it does kind of reduce the amount of comments you get of people doubting you and calling you a scammer because, like, it gets right here. And, it increases your credibility too
yeah.
because nothing I say, like in my little business videos, nothing I say is very complicated. But since I've had success, people believe what I say, like, people respect it more. If I was just in a room and I didn't show anything off, I just look like another grifter. So,
Mm.
The people that, call me a scammer or say I'm lying, I usually mess with them.
If somebody's gonna call you a scammer and you're not scamming people, it's easy to be like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Sometimes I pin the comment because it's just
I know I do
it's
that. I love that, man.
the pinning and the
Yeah,
hearts.
I'll make something. Sometimes I'll make a video and I'm just like, screaming or being obnoxious about something and being excited, and someone will be like, "Oh, you suck," and I'll be like, "Are you like you okay?
Yeah.
Like, how'd it
That's the
go?"
best one. When
Yeah,
you ask if they're okay, because
yeah.
like, oh, it just grinds their gears.
No, and it's just like, man, I don't. It's just interesting because I am. I love everything I do. I don't wake up hating anything. Like you wake up and this is kind of a dream
It's
to
a dream
me.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know, somebody tells me you suck. I'm always just like, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna go.
It's hard to be like, I feel like when people, a lot of folks on YouTube mostly, they talk about like, oh, it's so hard to ignore the haters and the words hurt. I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I don't even feel pity for them. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah,
it's just funny.
I see engagement. I
Yeah,
see people.
give me the views.
Yeah, give me views, give me engagement and everything like that. And there's clearly an issue if you're like something is upsetting you
Right.
today. And
But
I guess I've been the catalyst for you at
you
this
you
point.
were the straw that broke the camel's back.
I don't
You
know.
existing.
It happens to every single one of us. I've seen it in person, I've seen it online and everything, the but regardless of that, like that's your that content creation side has been so different for you. So like what is the benefit for you, or what have you discovered like in the content creation side that you've loved, like as you were saying, instead of just packing boxes you get to do this, so like what do you love about all this?
It's a healthy and safe way to like get my creativity out there.
Yeah.
I've talked about it in several videos. Like I'm bipolar, and before I was like properly medicated, bipolar people do some stupid stuff. Like
Mm,
they have these crazy ideas, like starting a Pokemon business, and they like to waste a lot of money on stuff to make these crazy ideas a reality. And it can get very, very sloppy very, very fast. And content creation in a very specific niche of Pokemon business, it lets me be creative and get like my thoughts out there without any like negative ramifications. So it's a creative outlet that also boosts the business and brings in customers. So it's like I get to do a whole separate job basically while also supporting my main job. So it just mixes it up a little.
have there been a lot of trends that where your content has been benefiting your sales more
Mhm.
through, are you just talking through business side? 'Cause I'm just trying to get a concept of what you're talking about. So
Yeah, yeah.
so
So I have like kind of two different like types of content. I talk about like Pokemon in general, like if a
mhm,
new set leaks or there's something cool in a set, I talk about that. And then I also like my main shtick is like how to start a Pokemon card business, where I just tell people exactly what I did and how to do it. And I see a lot of like newer businesses that want to, buy inventory from me to start
mm,
their own business, or just people that do rip and ships and box breaks, and then people that are interested in the business side but don't really want to pursue it, they just watch it and they're fans of Pokemon. And then the market videos, oh, a new set leaked, here's Surging Sparks. Then they come into the store and buy stuff. And I have some analytics where like my store on Wix is synced with YouTube,
yeah.
so you can buy items directly from the YouTube video itself, kind of like the TikTok shop, but similar. So I can see like directly if people are actually making decisions based on my YouTube videos. Same with coupon codes. If this video is sponsored by myself, use coupon code whatever, and then you can see how many people use that coupon code after the video gets a few thousand views. So, but in my head, I compartmentalize it as like I get to do content as like a full time job and Pokemon as a full time job,
Mhm,
and they work hand in hand.
mhm.
And ideally, if everything in here tanks, but the content's still like hot, one day I might make enough doing content where I can just support myself. But how do you feel about that? I feel like that's a long way
it
away.
it is crazy. How do I feel about like,
Like just the idea of doing content, like
bro,
ad revenue for a living.
it's terrifying,
Yeah.
especially if it's the only thing that you can rely on. To be beholden to an algorithm is absolutely frightening, and it is one of the craziest things to like, if you're at 0 to climb uphill, in my opinion. Like,
Hmm.
it's everybody talks about like, oh, if you make content, I mean, there's a million different ways that you can do it. You can make content every day. You can do a podcast. You can find brand deals. And it's like there's a million different avenues and people get paralyzed on what to do.
That's the
And,
big thing.
they're like, which way do I do it? Do I listen to this guru? Do I buy this guy's course? Do I do this? Instead of just doing something. And I'm very guilty of sometimes just not hitting record and going at it.
Yeah.
That's where this, like me talking to people and doing this from the very first day when I mispronounced that name, I was like, man, I really want to do this. And I never felt worthy or legitimate enough. And then
Mhm.
I just got tired of basically chasing a trend, doing something that somebody else is doing and be like, nobody is really doing this. So I should go ahead and do it. But it's not generating money right now while I'm talking to you. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So it's like we got to figure that
And
out.
if it does, it's like
And
$6 per 1,000 views.
exactly. And so that's where I say the fear comes in. You're
Mhm.
like, man, you really got to be confident that you can put yourself out there and you can be confident enough to fail. Because again, it's like all this inventory here, people decide they don't like Pokemon
Oh my
tomorrow.
god,
You're
it'd be
like,
so bad.
exactly.
It'd be so bad.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's like it's there. It's definitely you have a lot of confidence in being able to have a clear vision of what you want to do,
Mhm.
and then it's not going to work right away. And so
Forever.
it may not, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of people, I think, yeah, we could talk for a long time about that because it's like anybody can sit there and make a video and you'd be like, I'm posting every day. Why aren't I getting a million views? And they don't, may not be quality. It may just be sometimes people just aren't good on camera, but they have other skill sets that they're good at. Like there might be
Right.
people that are good at editing, but don't know how to be on camera. But it's even like what you were saying about all the stuff you did with Wix and everything. Like you put, um, did you like code that? Or you figured out how the plugins worked? Was that all self-taught?
Yeah, I mean, Wix is super easy. Like,
Yeah,
it's click and drag.
yeah,
There are some, like, elements that are a little more, like, techy, but for the most part, I just messed with it for several hours,
yeah.
made a website that I thought was good. That website sucked.
Mm,
And I made, like, probably 10 more iterations of it. You learn a few little design tips every day. What I've learned is you give it to your friends, and you give it to your friends that don't know a thing about Pokemon,
mm,
and you say, "Find a set called EV Heroes," and you watch them go through the website and complain about inefficiencies, and then you change them. So,
yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like you didn't know necessarily how you weren't like, I'm a big expert at
oh god, no, I
Wix.
don't know anything about
Yeah.
tech. Like I
So that but
I make it up as I go.
that's what I'm getting at, where it's
Yeah.
like I think there's certain skill sets you can learn, you pick up if people are natural at, and that's kind of how it is in the content world too.
Mhm.
It's like some people are really good at storytelling, some people are really good at business stuff, and some people are really good at just mm, like podcasting or doing really quick short form content. I think it's just get people get stuck seeing someone's success and trying to mimic it as opposed to just figuring out what's naturally. I
That's
mean, I
the
think we've
biggest
all been
mistake.
guilty of that. I know I've done it before. I'm sure you've done
Oh,
stuff too.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's
Gotta
just
try it out.
yeah, and see what happens. Sometimes it works. And then sometimes you work collaboratively with people and you're like, "Hey, I think I want to make this video, but like maybe you can make something the same way and we see if something's working." I don't know.
And that's what makes the content fun too. Like
Mhm.
if the business to me is boring and the content piece is the fun part, if the content piece starts getting boring, collaborative content's the fun part. And that's what we're doing now, and it's great.
Exactly. We're not experts in all this stuff. And so to me personally, I see a whole lot of boxes. I don't even know what half of them are. So, with this multi-million dollar business that you claim on your YouTube, how do you how do you even know what to get? Like I know certain things, but like how do you even know?
Yeah, it's intimidating. And I'm trying to be a little more direct with what I get, like a little more
Strategic.
thank you. I'm trying to be more strategic with what I buy now. For the first year, I didn't even know I like legitimately people are gonna make fun of me, but I didn't ever even think about Japanese booster boxes as an
Mm,
item. I knew there were Japanese Pokemon cards, but I just never even thought about the booster boxes. And so I started with singles, and then I'm like, oh God, these booster boxes exist. I'm gonna try these out. And then I realized, oh, there's, these Japanese versions of ETBs. I'm going to try those out. And then English, obviously. And then Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh! I basically just threw things out everywhere. If the resale was good on them, I got more of that.
mm,
If it was bad, I just kind of took an L. And I did that for 2 years, just trying out. I mean, I've got a whole area of White Short stuff, which is like a TCG that does all sorts of different animes. Like they have 60 animes and I know a few animes, but not very many. So I just kind of bought 3 boxes of each anime, and if those 3 sold, I bought more, and if they sat, then I clearanced them out. And One Piece was a risk.
Yeah.
That's a set that I never watched the anime. I watched the live action. I don't know a thing about One Piece, but I know other people do.
Mhm.
So I kind of listen to the streets, keep my ear to the streets, and I know One Piece is popular, so I took a risk with that.
Yeah.
But I think what people don't realize is people like me that have like a big successful business, we don't know anything either. We're just guessing. It's a guess and check.
That's a really good statement because everybody feels like you have to be a massive, super versed expert
Yeah.
in something. And it's like if you don't know, I mean, I've seen it personally when I've been to events and I'm like, I want this box and I open it and I get excited about something. And I'm like, oh, this card looks cool. And somebody would be like, you don't like that because blah 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 and this and this. And I'm like, I just think it looks cool.
Yeah.
So I feel like people think if you have a business or if you're to be successful, you have to be really, really educated,
Hmm.
like so to the down to the minutia of every little thing.
That down to the pronunciation of
Ex-
the thing.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. To
Like,
actually be successful,
mhm.
and it is very much just learn, evaluate. Oh, okay, I messed this up, or I'm not as good at this. Let me work on that. Evaluate,
Right.
and that's how you scale.
Let's guess and check at
Exactly.
scale.
And so, yeah, I see that a lot. And so I think that's very valuable for anybody who does watch this to be
Hmm.
like, they want to create their own Pokemon business or they want to create their own card business or anything like this. It's like, hey, it's just like creating content. It's like just do it
Yes.
if you want to.
Yeah. You have
And
to start.
just do something and see what happens. It's kind of like I said, it's intimidating. I'm sure everything you see here, you see how many dollars each thing is, right?
I know the price of every single item I paid.
So you're good at that though.
Yeah.
You're expert at that.
I have the analytical side of things.
What was like that key point for you when you're like, oh crap, this is real and this is gonna go?
I think it was when we started selling Shiny Star V. It's a Japanese set that was super hot in 2021. And at this point, I had a few $1,000s in sales. I was selling like some Japanese promo cards, and I realized that I didn't have a lot of cash laying around. So I took a picture of Shiny Star V and I put it on my website, and I said pre-order Shiny Star V. It was already out, but basically I was just like, we ship this in 10 days. And so a lot of people started buying them, and then I took their money and I sent it to Japan. I was like, "Hey, Japan, I need 10 of these." And when I realized we blew up is when I was able to just buy all these shiny Survey on credit. I used a credit card,
Mhm.
and before that credit card payment was due, I already pre-sold them on my
Oh
website.
wow.
So I just because what was happening before is I'd buy stuff from Japan, put it on the website, sell it, and then there'd be like this week long of nothing because I'd have to
Yeah.
order more from Japan. So I blew up in my head when I was selling stuff before I was even getting it. And then after kind of churning and burning that, it was just like a runaway train. I mean, I think 1 month in, we did 20,000 our first month, which is insane. And then by month like 4, we were regularly doing like $100,000 in sales.
Oh
And there was no real catalyst other than just making a ton of TikTok videos. A few went viral, but like it was I was a product of the times. I mean,
yeah.
2021, I had a huge advantage. If it wasn't for everything going on that year, I probably wouldn't be here right now,
Yeah.
honestly.
Same. Same. I know how
Yeah,
that is.
we both started at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah. I think so many of us like came out that way where it's like there were a lot of people that you have your a passion of things that you like to do and I same for me too. And it's like that passion once all the I don't know, the glitz and glam of the boom of the cards, like
hmm
the card industry has waned or the cycle has gone back to normal. The people that are still around are the ones that are like really enjoyed doing it.
Right.
Because again, it's no hate to anybody, obviously. Like people kind of come in, make a quick buck, if they
And that
want
was a
to.
lot of people.
There's a lot of people that did that, but then a lot of people stuck around. It's cool. And I've made lifelong friends. And even again, like I didn't even know you were near me until a few like probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
You showed up at a Kansas City
I
Collecticon.
did.
And
Yeah,
I was like, where's Brian from? There, he's like, well, he's like, it's PokeNe. He's in Nebraska. And I'm like, oh god dang. Okay, I
it's
get
not
that
a
now.
good name.
I know.
I admit it.
But the first time I ever saw you was when you can correct me. You'll know it better than me. But you were like on a news station. right?
Vice.
Yeah, it was Vice.
Yeah,
Yeah, can you talk about that?
it was super cringe.
Yeah, but it
So
was the first that's how I first saw something about you.
that's how a lot of people were introduced to me, which is super unfortunate. But so the Vice thing, so that they got like 16 million subscribers, and they do all sorts of crazy characters on there, like drug lords and gangs and weird people. And I got on there because they were doing like a segment on small businesses,
Mm,
and they put a little thing out, and they ended up emailing me. One of them watches my TikToks, and I was so new. Like people don't realize that I was brand new to it. It aired in August of 2021, but we filmed in early April. So I was only 3 months into the business. And at the time, I had no intention of doing this full time. Like I was here to make a quick buck. I was going to invest all the money into real estate. So they wanted me to kind of portray this like business guru vibe. Everything that was said in the Vice thing, I said 4 times in different ways. Like, it would be like a cut. Can you say that in a more prerogative business way? I'd be like, Shh, you want me to sound more like a D-bag? They're like, yeah, but this is like kind of the mode we're going for. And so it was very synthetic, a
yeah,
lot of it, and a little cringe, but it has gotten like 2 million views. So
yeah,
I mean, I
that
gotta hand it to them.
yeah, that's normal, like, TV production. I know how it goes.
That
Yeah.
yeah, it was a real TV production, and I was a bit thrown by it.
Mhm.
I ultimately, I mean, it was a great time. It's fun, but
That's so
just,
wild.
I don't like that it still exists.
Yeah, yeah, that's kinda how it usually goes. That's how the internet is nowadays.
Yeah.
So since we both kinda started doing stuff, it's, like, been there's been a lot of things that we've experienced in such a short amount of time, and a lot of dramatic things, a
Mhm.
lot of good things and bad things, but it's been very fascinating to see the world of this Pokemon niche turn into, like, we had a fake first edition base set box,
Yep.
and
Crazy.
we had Logan Paul getting a Charizard that he turned into a 10 or whatever. Like, there's been a lot of those different things. There's some high level ones. So it's like, what is I don't know. What do you think about all the drama? Because I mean, we can back and forth on this because like I've got a lot of opinions too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I ask you, but it's very fascinating to me in such a small niche, the amount of things that continue to cycle through in the content creation world.
So the Pokemon drama iceberg, it goes deep. And the first observation and question I have for the world is like, does every little niche like Digimon, Beyblades, Legos, do they all have this weird like drama iceberg, or is it just Pokemon? That's my first like,
I wonder.
right?
I wonder, like
Like
in
if
the
you dig deep enough.
yeah, in the sewing community, do they?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows? Yeah, I don't know.
Like it is an interesting one, but I honestly like it's probably not a good take, but I kind of dig it.
Mm,
And I think there's two ways you look at drama. You either get too involved with it where you take it really seriously and it consumes your life and you end up being one of those sad people that comments things,
mm,
or you enjoy it in a way that you're watching like The Bachelor, where it's like this guilty pleasure of
mm.
what an absolute just like what absolute nonsense we live through. And I kind of take it in like that, but the oh my God, the amount of just hate some people get,
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah,
it's people are very passionate on YouTube, and the gotchas and the just the overall disdain for certain YouTubers in the Pokemon world. It's
I know.
fascinating.
It's fascinating too, and then I'll make the thumbnail for this, say like Pokemon drama exposed or something like that, and then
Yeah,
we'll make sure people get here at this point. Who knows? Maybe that'd be hilarious. I'll just make the thumbnail exactly
yeah,
that
that sounds good.
to get them in there. But I enjoy what I'm doing, and so I attribute if people are seeking the negative all the time,
Hmm.
that there's something deeper going on.
I think a lot of people,
You
yes.
know what I
I
mean?
think a lot of people, it's an act though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like I don't know if I can deny that claim because,
Hmm.
but I don't know. Like, I mean, we're not gonna mention anybody specific at all, but I'm just more,
Yeah,
but I'm more like, I
I
don't,
could, but
yeah, anybody can, but it is very fascinating because, like, again, like I think about these things where I'm like, you go to an event, you see anybody, they say, "Oh my gosh, love your videos," but then you go to someone else and they go, "Hey, somebody said your videos suck."
there's so much of it.
Why does that happen? Like, I mean, we're like, you're 31,
Yeah,
right? I'm 35. Like, I feel like I'm in high school.
we're too old for that,
I don't
I
know,
would
man.
think.
You would think so.
Yeah, it's funny, all the, like, the commentator type channels that really, like, dig at certain, like, influencers in the Pokemon world, they all go to the same conventions,
I
and
know.
I just can't
Yeah.
imagine how awkward that, like, that vibe must be.
Mhm.
Because like, they're big conventions, but you run into everybody,
Yeah.
and so, like, making an absolute just hit piece on certain people, I'd feel so awkward, I wouldn't be able to go to a convention.
Yeah.
There's one person that really wrecked me, and I see him at the conventions every so often, and, I haven't really gone up and talked to him, he always gets super awkward around me, and I'm just gonna keep it awkward because I just think it's
Yeah,
funny, you kinda
just
put it on yourself.
I don't know. I haven't had anybody put any hit pieces on me yet. Maybe I haven't said anything crazy enough yet, but I just
You haven't put yourself out there
I have
enough.
I guess I don't know, man. Maybe
Yeah,
I don't care enough. I'm not passionate enough. Who
could be,
knows?
could be.
Like we all have a commonality of something that we liked, and it's turned into like so and so said this or so and so said that, or we saw this person buy this thing and they shouldn't have bought that.
They should have
They shouldn't
or
have
they
been,
sold that thing,
they
they
sold that
shouldn't have
thing. They
sold
shouldn't
it.
have sold it. Yeah,
It's like high school.
it turns into that. And again, like I understand, and I've met probably almost very close to almost everybody that makes videos
Yeah,
like that or has been a victim or or I don't know, drive by of that.
right.
And I've had nothing but great conversations with almost everybody.
I think they're all really nice.
I do too. And
Yeah,
there's I've had most I yeah, most of that stuff has always been positive. So it's like once you get behind outside of the internet guys, it's a different world.
yeah, I
You
think
know?
a lot of it is an act.
Yeah.
I think the people that are famous for causing the drama, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that being they're famous, they know what they're doing and they're being smart about it. And so I think it's a lot more of an act. It's the people in the comments that are like really like
Yeah.
that I believe that's not an act, and I think they're just like they just obsess over this. Like they wake up and they're pissed off that someone sold something for $5 more than they should have.
Mhm.
And they don't have like the skills or the logic or the creativity to actually become a content creator themselves.
Mhm.
So they just like angry comment. I think those people are serious. I think every famous YouTuber in the drama space, though, I think a lot of it's an act.
Yeah.
Just like my Vice interview.
Yeah.
You know what I
Sure.
mean? I think a lot of it is just that.
It might be like we're a thing where again, you kind of get stuck to where it's like if you went viral or I went viral or started building a community on a certain process or a certain way of making content,
Yeah,
you don't want to lose it too. Because
that's
it's
the
like,
thing.
you get revenue on being a certain way. If you stop doing that, well, do you lose money? Do you lose community
Hmm.
and different stuff
And
like that?
respect from your community. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you've changed, bro.
I do think what you're saying is very valid of like there's a certain act of even doing this where like you have a certain decorum of the way you need to communicate in a podcast or an interview. So like you don't talk over each other, you don't do a whole bunch of certain you don't get crazy or I don't know, you're not running around in
Yeah,
circles. So but I think that's the same thing where it's like, hey, I'm gonna be passionate about this thing, but take it up two notches because that's the way I have to convey it to my
yeah.
content.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
They take it out. It is them being honest, but they take it up two or three notches, and that's what makes it entertaining.
Yeah.
And the people that don't do that, they also make content. You just don't see it because
Yeah.
it's not successful.
Well, drama gets clicks and everything like that, and I get it. Again, I'm not gonna. I have zero hate to anybody whatsoever, but it's a thing where it's like having a discussion with somebody else about it is not. I haven't really done before, and it's very or outside in a recorded space of like
Yeah,
getting other perspectives where it's like it just seems like sometimes like I wish people would just be happy.
yeah. I mean that's asking a lot in it.
I know. We
There's a
just
supply and demand for it.
I know
I
there
mean,
is.
like the supply and demand for drama videos, those get more views than investment videos. And investment videos, I mean, they bring their own drama. But like when you've got something that brings in more clicks and engagement than something that can make you rich overnight,
Hmm.
that says a lot.
Well, it's like The Bachelor, like you said. There's like 40 seasons of The Bachelor.
Oh my God, yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's kind of how it is, but
Same thing.
it's interesting. Again, like what I love some of the my favorite things I've done is where I've like gotten some kind of pack that a kid never gets to open and then go give it to him for free and let him open it. Like we
Mm.
did that. Those things maybe I don't know, maybe get 1,000 views or something like that. But I could say I used to be like Brian sucks and it'd be like 400 million
It'd be
views.
so many. 'Cause my name just carries such a
Just
weight.
Here, we should just create fake beef from now on. Just continue that. And
I swear that's what the rap industry does.
dude, I know,
A
yeah.
hundred
The
percent.
Drake. I don't know who's our Drake and Kendrick Lamar in the Pokemon. I'm not gonna do that. No,
I-
we're not.
We're not going
We're
there.
not gonna do that. I don't want to do that anyway. But
There's an answer. I'll tell you what though. There's an answer. I'll tell you what though.
as people in the comments will comment it for sure.
Oh, that engagement.
There you go.
That's what this is all made up.
Oh my god.
That Coop guy. Do you know him?
Mm-mm.
Oh, really? He has like the vendor POV, and he like
Ooh.
he's like a really soft, like nice voice, and he hands out cards to the kids, and like he went ultra viral.
So I don't know who Coop is. Tell me really fast.
Okay, ultra viral, him like handing out like a ogre pawn card or
Yes.
something. So I will say he is one of the people that has kind of broken him and Bulbasaur, where they're getting the virality of a drama video, but it's all positive.
Yeah.
And people love it. There's no, I mean, every comment super positive. This guy went from like 0 to I think 300,000 subs in like 3 months.
Oh wow.
And it's the opposite of drama. It's like giving stuff away to kids. I mean, his voice is super soft. He doesn't do like the "What's up, YouTube?" He doesn't have any of that.
Yeah.
So like, there is hope for humanity.
That's good.
Like, you can be positive and drama free and still like blow up.
I'll make sure we tag him, and he's not gonna have any clue that why he's tagged in this video. But that's cool.
Me and him worked together a little bit.
That's so
I gave him
awesome.
some stuff to open on his channel. Super nice guy.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, whoever anybody watches this obviously would check him out. So
Yeah.
there's a free plug for him. But that's cool. I think my biggest thing is like what I've continued to see personally is I've developed extremely good like lifelong friendships in this world, and it's like I don't know. I just try to keep that in the forefront as opposed to like you hearing people gossip in a video or at a show. You're like, okay, yeah. I mean, I guess I got to listen to this or whatever. But it's not like anybody's like, as far as I'm aware, nobody's like actually like fighting anybody or doing anything crazy.
I think for the most part, it's just words and comments.
That's how it is.
But yeah, you have to really like separate like your normie friends from like the drama and weirdness of the conventions and the YouTubes and all that. But again, if you look at it with the right lens, it's just entertainment.
It's
It's
true.
a guilty pleasure. I like it. I
Oh,
hope
I do
it
too.
gets more dramatic. And I don't even make money on that content. I just
know.
enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'm a
we should
consumer.
react to those reactions of that. Just build a reaction train video of all that kind of stuff.
Graham stuff in every video. Just play the whole video and talk over it.
Yeah.
That's the secret to success on YouTube.
Yes.
React.
Do you have anything that you would recommend for somebody trying to create a Pokemon business? That
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just stops. Quit.
There you go. That's
No.
great advice.
No, I mean, I would recommend number one, start small. Don't go cray cray. Definitely don't quit your 9 to 5 job for the first year of doing it, no matter how successful you are, unless you have a spouse that can support you and you also don't have kids. I would say be very mindful about the market, because if something's selling really well and you go crazy and you buy 15 cases of it like I did with One Piece OP08 and then it tanks, then you're stuck with that inventory. So don't go crazy. If something feels too good to be true, it probably is, or it'll probably crash soon enough. And be careful who you trust online, especially if you're buying stuff like through credit card or credit bank transfers. Like, you send money through a checking account, you're not getting that back. There's no PayPal goods and services for wire transactions. So just be very careful. That's my biggest advice. Be careful and go slow.
All right, Brian, tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me at PokeNe.com or YouTube PokeNe_Pokemon. Love to have your subscription.
Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
Okay. So these are questions from the Instagram community I asked on a story about Pokemon business questions, and these are what I got. So the first one is, with the demand on internet purchases, is a brick and mortar store worth it?
I would be terrified to open a brick and mortar store. I'd say no.
Okay.
It's just too much risk.
Yeah. All right. If you can't compete financially with established businesses, what can you do otherwise?
Content. Make content, make people love you and trust you. That's the most important thing. None of my prices are the best online, and I do just fine. So get yourself out there.
And how much did it take you to start up?
A couple $1,000s.
Really?
Yeah.
Just $2,000. And you
if that, credit card debt. I mean, that's what we did.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So you were using a credit card to do that. It
was
like
all leveraged credit. Okay. I was leveraging people's money.
Like, oh yeah, because you were doing that with the Shiny Star Bebop.
The pre-orders.
Yep. I would love to hear your take on vaulting and what you think the future of collecting looks like?
Yeah, so if by vaulting you mean putting stuff in the back of your basement and waiting for it to appreciate, I think once you get to a point where you can run a business without needing more cash, that's when you start doing it. For the first 3 years, I wasn't able to vault, but now that I can run the business, have some cash left over, you buy what you're feeling and you throw it in the back, and I think it's a good way to retire.
Cool.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
How do you find suppliers for your cards?
Instagram, 100% Instagram, just DMing for Japanese, every Japanese person that had Pokemon in their profile. And then for English, you need a brick and mortar, or you have to build a large enough repertoire to where they contact you, the English suppliers. So
Okay, this one's interesting. So how do you preserve your merchandise? So like how do you keep all this stuff safe?
I needed dehumidifiers for about a year since the house in new construction was super moist down here. But ultimately, none of the stuff's luxury products. If it was like luxury products, probably need a better setup than I have.
Yeah. And the dehumidifier is something I don't think people have thought about before because I've had that before where I had some moisture in a room and some of my like cards got stuck.
Yeah,
And I was like,
you can feel it.
yep, I didn't think about it until the bad thing happened. And so
I moved in here and we were packaging orders and the shipping boxes were like soft and my
mm,
heart sank. And we bought three $250 dehumidifiers that day from Home Depot and we had them running at all times.
jeez.
It was so stressful.
Okay, here's my last one. So
Okay.
how do you you probably I think you answered this already, but like how do you gain traction?
You gain traction by just not overthinking it. Make a video every single day, cover what you do, who you are, make it decent quality, and don't stop just because you're not getting a lot of traction. You've got to do it for a year, and if you still don't have traction, do it for another year. Like you just gotta pull through.